Hello fellow punchers, Mickey D. Witchy on the very first bus bashing podcast, which hopefully will be done on a weekly basis from now, concentrating on the national hunt season ahead, leading up to Cheltenham and maybe afterwards on to Aintree and Punchestown. We shall see. I don't know how this is going to go. This is the first one. I am, as everybody knows, I'm not that tech savvy. I'm a late learner in life. I'm getting a bit of help, a bit of coaching late last night, but not it was done over the phone, but it was very welcome. So I'm going to see. So I'm going to have help, but the help will be invisible. But the notes are sent on. I'll be reading them out presently. And each week, my sidekick will be given a next best, a best bet, and a each way selection. Each week I'm going to choose somebody, a passenger on the bus. The first week, since that I haven't advertised it in time, I'm going to pick the Queen of the Bus, Christina Davis, and the three selections on a level stakes basis that whatever the accumulative score is each week, that whoever has the top five at the end of the season will get €50 free bets for Cheltenham. And myself and my sidekick will pick the horses and put on the bets, and whatever is the money, they decide what they will do with it. Keep it for themselves, keep half it, give it all to charity, or whatever, as their choice. It's something I wanted to do. It'll be money that will be generated by the passengers on the channel throughout the winter. So all you have to do is listen to a few of the ads and like and subscribe and stuff like that. I nearly said a bad word. And we'll get a few pounds and we'll dish it back out to charities and the needy. Christina is the first week. I'll read out the selections in a few minutes. First, I'll look at a couple of races in Cheltenham tomorrow. The 210 is a novice chase. 8 favourites in the last 10 years, including the last 3 years. Third time lucky won it last year, and Fusel Raffles and Al Dancer, they were all favourites. Aucunrisque is the 11-4 favourite this year. It's 1-for-1 over fences. It jumped very deliberate and at the start until it got warmed up the last day, and it ran on well, I thought. So it definitely has a favourite chance. Gordon Elliott sends over Ash Tree Meadow. It's 1-for-4 over fences, and it was fourth in the Galway Plate. So maybe a step up and trip would be more suitable for this, and it probably will go from the front. Interesting, Dan Skelton chooses this race for the new purchase from Jigginstown at their dispersal sale, Uhtred, and that's 1-for-1 for Joseph O'Brien. But I looked for the stable tour to see what to think about it, and it wasn't even mentioned, so we'll just have a watch and brief, and we'll go on Aucunrisque in that race. The 4:30 is an amateur jockey chase, 3 miles 1 favourite in the last 10 years, and that actually won it 2 years in a row in 12 and 13, Hunter's Lodge. The newest one is my selection. It's a 7-year-old. It's a 14-1 shot for Nigel Tristan Davis. It's a half brother to the new one. It was last seen in Warwick in March over 3 miles 5, which was 4th of 8. It won first time out last season in Newton Abbot off 113. It's 2-for-8 over fences. It's rated 124. The jockey takes off 7. I don't know much about him. Turner is his name, but it's a 14-1 shot. Nigel Tristan Davis always gets off, fairly good in October, and he targets the meeting. He's not too far away from the track there in the Cotswold. So we'll have an each way bet on that at 14-1. There's 5 places. The 245 is a novice hurl, 2 miles 4. 6 favourites in the last 10 years. Campron won it last year at 1-3. There's 2 Irish horses vying for favouritism. She is Electric for Norman Lee is rated 123. It won a maiden hurl in Gordon Park. And Miss Music Drive for Gordon Elliott won a maiden hurl in Galway in early October. My each way selection is an Ian Williams 4-year-old rated 127, Saint Riquier. It's 1-for-9 over hurls, but its one win was in Warwick last May, at the only time that it ran over the distance of tomorrow's race at 2 miles 3. So I always compare Warwick for him. It's similar, well, it's not similar, but it's not far from unsimilar to Cheltenham, and it's 12-1 shot. So he might to brush up on his jumping, but he's a good enough engine. He has ran on the flat a few times lately. So they're the three I've picked for Friday. And on to Saturday. There's an novice hurl at 1:30. There's 8 declared. This has only been ran 7 times, and 5 favourites have won it out of 7. And there was an 11-4 shot and a 7-2. So all at the top of the market have won. It was won the last 2 years by John McConnell, trained Streets of Doyen and Bardenstown Lad, and both of them were rated 130 at the time. Rexem is sent over this year. It's only rated 119, but it's a good horse. It was went out in front in Killarney the last day, and it won very well. It's 2 for 3 over hurls, and it's 1 for 3 over bumpers. It was well gambled on the last time in Killarney, 5-2 into evens. I thought it won very well. It's the class horse in the field sort is rated 145. A chaser is Saint Palais, but Richard Bandy, I don't know, will he be targeting this, this time of the year? He's probably looking for this as a prep run for going chasing in later in Cheltenham in November, the November meeting. The 205 is a 3 miles 1 chase. There's 10 declared. There's a horse there that nearly done me a couple of good turns last year. He was nutted at a 4 mile chase. It was in Kelso, wasn't it? And he ran well in Fontwell as well. Almazhar Guide is only a 7-year-old for Charlie Longston. Longston is going well. Out of his last 18 runners, he had 5 winners, 5 places in the last 21 days. It goes well enough fresh. It'll be out in front. And hopefully he'll have enough petrol to get in, at least in the, stay in the places anyway. So 12-1 shot. I must get a bit of well for these glasses. They're annoying me. The 350 at the Pertims qualifier. New rules are this year, or new regulations. You have to finish in the first 4 rather than in the first 6, as always was the case. So they'll be wanting to finish now 3rd and 4th, as opposed to 5th or 6th. No winner of a qualifier has ever went on to win the final in March. Shoot First, a horse that we backed before, but didn't back the last time. It was only out for the gallop. He's sent over, but I don't know if he'll be wanting to win it, but he'll be wanting to qualify. It's a bit short at 6-1, I thought. I'm going for a horse that won't mind whether he wins it or not, because he probably won't be running next March, and that's the 9-year-old Didtheyleaveuoutto for Nick Gifford. Out of presenting, so it'll like the ground. It ran well there. It was 4th to Nappers Hill in a nice graded race recently, and it was running on well over 2 miles 3.5. It was only ran twice at the distance at the 3 mile, and it was second last year in a Pertims qualifier to a good yardstick, Stony Mountain, and then it was down the field in a good to soft. Good ground or good to firm is good, it'll be all right for it. They're 3 for Saturday. On Saturday as well, we have the Old Roan. No, on Sundays the Old Roan Chase at Aintree. Hitman is the classiest probably, but he's carrying top weight. He's won 2 for 9 chases, 4 times placed. It was first time out last year in the Halden Cup race in Exeter behind Eldorado Allen, so it goes well enough fresh. Nichols is in good form. Out of his last 25 runners, he had 9 wins in 8 places. That's a 36% strike rate, so he's going all right. In the Munster National on Sunday in Limerick, which I will be attending, I got 2 complimentary tickets for the track. Thanks very much for that. I'll be missing the county final, but I won't be able to go to Galway only 1 day out of 3 the following week, and I got the book for going racing. Weather is good. That race on Sunday is an interesting horse that we backed before, Max Flamingo. It's a 10-1 shot. It had a prep run recently in a grade 3 race in Tipperary in an adequate trip. That was 2 miles 3. This is more suitable. This ran in the Grand National, the Irish Grand National Easter Monday. It was down the field. It sort of didn't stay the distance. I think it was right there coming to the turn for home. But that should have a realistic chance, I thought. And that brings me to the man that you won't see, but you'll hear. And his name is going to be known as is the Stig. People will know what I mean by that if you watched another television programme. So in the comments, tell me who that was or who that's in relation to. So, the Stig. Horses that tick my fancy. The first horse to kick off the segment of horses that tickle my fancy is one that may have slipped under the radar for many of our viewers. Emmett Mullins, the shrewd operator himself, brought a horse named McTeague over to O'Teal to pick up a Grade 2 race, earning his owners a handsome 58,000 for their troubles. This horse travelled through his race strongly, jumped well in the main for a horse only having a second start over hurls, and showed good battling qualities to beat the 6-5 favourite on the day, with the two pulling Tillins clear of the third. This horse took his mark to 98 on the flat, and is a horse we may see rocking up in something like the Triumph Hurl in Cheltenham, and judging from his previous 2 runs, is a horse I'll be keeping a close eye on throughout the season. Marine Nationale, it ran in Punchestown on the 12th of October on Wednesday. I could not have talked about the horses that tickle my fancy this week without mentioning this monster. I was in Killarney when this horse won his bumper, and my God, he looked a picture, showing his dominant size and scope alongside my gaffer when they both levelled up for the home straight. Barry Connell has quoted this son of French Navy as one of the best he's ever had, and it's easy to see why. He started his hurling career in Punchestown last Wednesday, and he certainly lived up to the hype. He pulled hard for the majority of the race, but showed his appetite for hurling by attacking his hurls and gaining lengths on his opposition. The most impressive part of the race for me was how he flew the last with the perfect jump and accelerated away, showing his speed to win his maiden by 4 lengths ease down. This is the horse I expect to be up to trip at some stage in the season, but for now I think Barry Connell will be happy with his gears and speed he showed in his maiden. This is the horse I think will take high rank amongst the novices this year. Adamantly Chosen and Galvin. I want to give those 2 horses a mention who also ran on the same Punchestown card last Wednesday. Adamantly Chosen nearly had to make Johnny Mullins check his boxer shorts after the first, when he nearly sent him to the deck after clouting the first fence. He did well to recover after the first, and a mistake as heavy as that could have knocked the horse off for the remainder of the race, but quite frankly it did the opposite. He warmed to the task after the first, and his jumping was foot perfect from there on in, and showed himself to be a nice novice for Willie to go hunting with. I do think he may fall short of Grade 1 class, but he certainly will pick up a lot of Grade 2 or 3 races throughout the season. Galvin showed himself to be in rude health on his return to the racetrack. He put the race to bed with an outstanding leap at the third last, jumping between Polites and Run Wild Fred to pick up the lead, turning into the home straight. Gordon has said all reads to Down Royal, that will be his Gold Cup. All systems go for Galvin to gain Fringe and Frodon. Queensbrook is the horse to keep an eye on. Is running in Limerick on Sunday. Gordon's comments seem particularly bullish, so it's worth keeping an eye out for her the weekend. She runs at 3 p.m. Sunday in Limerick. Gordon's comment: I wouldn't put anyone off having a few quid in her for the mare's hurdle. If we can get a clear run with her, she'll take some beating in it. The 3 selections for the Stig the weekend: Pied Piper, 5-4 favourite, 2 points win in the 240 on Cheltenham on Saturday. This is not the most exciting selection, but is one for the multiples or a nice single. This horse travelled to Cheltenham last year and won pulling a cart under Davy Russell. When Pied Piper and Night Salute met, the time latter came out on top, and I think Davy would have been kicking himself had he not got there too early and got mugged by Night Salute. The next best is Pull Again Green, 2 points win, the 320 on Cheltenham Friday. This is a horse I followed last year over hurls, and I remember last year saying he will be some horse going over a fence. Just go back to his final start where he won over hurls in Cheltenham and watch how he jumps the final hurl. He has so much scope for a fence. This horse has won 5 out of 7 starts under rules. He acts around Cheltenham and he will act on the ground. You can guarantee Fergal O'Brien will have this horse ready to go first time up, and I think he will go very close. The each way selection for the weekend is Tullybeg, won his previous start over fences over 2 miles 4. His most outstanding piece of form is beating Authorised Art, giving away weight. He's rated 139 here. I think it gives him room to improve, and I think it could be a good horse, and Gordon might aim at the festival and a handicap down the line. That's it for this week. That's our first podcast over and out. That's from the Stig, and it's from Mickey D. Let's bash the bookies. Over and out.